Hello everyone, I'm Sarah of Rich Textures Crochet and welcome to week 4 of the 2025 Wonderful Hats Crochet Along. Today we're going to learn how to crochet the Inlet Beanie. This is a beautifully textured crochet hat featuring half double crochet in the third loop, as well as this very textured cluster stitch. This is a great hat to wear. It's snug. Can be worn without a pom-pom, as you can see here, or you're welcome to throw a pom-pom on the top. It's really up to you. Today for the tutorial, I'm going to be using a little bit of a worsted weight yarn. This is the Heatherly yarn by WeCrochet and Knitpicks, as well as a 5mm or an H8 crochet hook, and this is a tulip crochet hook that I'm using today. A free written copy of this crochet pattern and all the crochet patterns in this year's crochet along can be found on my website at richtexturescrochet.com. You will find the direct link down in the description of this video. Also down in the description you'll find direct links to my 2 books that are now available on Amazon. Barn Quilt Blankets, which is a collection of 5 beautiful blanket crochet patterns worked in a geometrical design, as well as intermediate crochet stitches, which includes 102 of my favorite textured stitches. They're both directly linked in the description there for you. Thank you so much for joining me. While you're here, I invite you to subscribe. Take a look around. This channel is updated every single week. You'll find the other crochet along patterns still available, as well as one left to come in the crochet along and matching accessory, which will be available on Friday, so be sure to check back. Let's grab our hooks and yarn and get started. Now, just as we're about to begin today, I realize I neglected to mention how much of this yarn you're going to need. You're going to need about 200 yards. We're going to work the adult size in the video today, and our hat is worked from the brim up to the top, so you're going to start by making a slip knot. You're then going to work a foundation chain for the brim, and you're going to start by chaining 10. Now, if you wish to change the size, the thickness of your brim, you'll simply work more or less chains. Now for row 1, we're going to begin by working a slip stitch into the second chain from our hook, and then slip stitch into each stitch all the way across. If you're not a fan of slip stitch brims, you're welcome to use single crochet or half double crochet or any combination of stitches you choose. At the end of this row, we're going to have a total of 9 slip stitches. You're going to chain 1 and turn your work. Now for rows 2 onward, we're going to work in the back loop only. To find the back loop, you're looking at the top of your crochet stitch. You have a loop that is closest to you and a loop that is furthest away. This is going to be your back loop only. So beginning in the first stitch, your chain 1 does not count as a stitch. Beginning in that first stitch, work 1 slip stitch in the back loop only, and repeat this all the way across. At the end of row 2, you're going to chain 1, turn your work, and repeat slip stitch in the back loop only of that first stitch, and then of each stitch all the way across, chain 1 and turn. You are going to continue to repeat row 2 until the brim from the beginning measures approximately 16 to 17 inches. That's when laid flat and not stretched. When you stretch your brim out, it should fit around an adult head with a 20 to 22 inch circumference. If you wish to change the size of your brim, you're certainly going to work more or less rows, depending on whether you want it to fit a larger head or a smaller head. So go ahead, repeat row 2. I'm going to repeat it until I have about 16 or 17 inches. Once you have your 16 to 17 inches worked, and that's laid flat, not stretched, you'll see that it has quite a nice stretch to it that retains its shape if you've worked the slip stitches. You're going to take your 2 short ends and fold them over so that they meet. You're then going to work a slip stitch seam all the way across. So chain 1. Now I'm going to work into the back loops only of my first stitch, then reach across to the second side and back loop only of the second side. You don't have to work in the back loops only. You can do front loop and front loop, or front loop, back loop, any combination you choose. You'll just want to slip stitch all the way across. Once you've come across, you can turn your brim inside out and just check the seam. Make sure the gap between your texture isn't too thick, just to get the look that you would like. So I'm working back loop only and back loop only through both thicknesses all the way across. Once again, you'll continue to have 9 slip stitches. When you come to the top, you're going to chain 1. Turn your brim so that it is right side out. Now with the right side facing you, we're going to begin working the hat body, and we're going to work it around this rough edge of our brim. So to begin, you're going to work 72 half double crochet stitches evenly all the way around. If you're adjusting the size of your hat, you're going to need a multiple of 3 stitches for this round. Today I'm just going to work 72, and you can see I'm just inserting my hook where it feels comfortable through the spaces between the stitches or in the stitches, all the way around the outside of my brim. When you come to your first stitch, we're going to join with a slip stitch into the top of the first. Once you have worked your 72 half double crochet stitches all the way around, you're going to join with a slip stitch into the top of your first stitch and chain 1. Do not turn your work. We're going to continue working in the same direction, and this time we're going to work half double crochet stitches in the 3rd loop all the way around. So looking at the top of your stitch, you have a front loop that's closest to you, a back loop that is furthest away. If you look at the back of your half double crochet, you'll see a loop that runs just along under this back loop. This is your 3rd loop. So you're going to insert your hook under that 3rd loop only of the first stitch and repeat that all the way around. 3rd loop only, half double crochet in each stitch all the way around. It's going to push the tops of your stitches forward and create a nice ridge of texture all the way around. When you come to your first stitch, you're going to join with a slip stitch into the top. At the end of round 2, join with a slip stitch into the top of your first stitch. Chain 1, do not turn your work, continue working in the same direction and working once again in the 3rd loop. This time though, we're going to be working single crochet stitches. So single crochet in the 3rd loop of that first stitch, and then single crochet into the 3rd loop of each stitch all the way around. At the end of round 3, you're going to join with a slip stitch into the top of your first stitch, chain 1, and this time we're going to turn our work. Now for round 4, we're going to work a cluster stitch over the first 3 stitches. To work your cluster stitch, you're going to yarn over, insert your hook into the first stitch, yarn over, and draw up a loop. yarn over, and draw through 2 loops. You're then going to yarn over, skip the next stitch, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, draw up a loop, yarn over, and draw through 1 loop on your hook. You're going to repeat that twice more into the same stitch. Yarn over, insert your hook into the same stitch, yarn over, draw up a loop, yarn over and pull through 1 loop. Repeat 1 more time, yarn over, insert your hook into the same stitch, yarn over, draw up a loop, yarn over, and draw through 1 loop. You'll then have 8 loops on your hook, yarn over, and draw through all 8 loops. Chain 1. You're going to repeat this all the way around, beginning in the same stitch always as the previous cluster stitch. So yarn over, insert your hook into the same stitch as the previous cluster, yarn over, draw up a loop, yarn over, and pull through 2 loops. Skip the next stitch and yarn over into the next, insert your hook, yarn over, draw up a loop, yarn over, and pull through 1 loop. Do that twice more into the same stitch. Once you have 8 loops on your hook, yarn over and draw through all 8 loops. Chain 1 and repeat, beginning in the same stitch as the previous cluster stitch. You're going to repeat this all the way around. So I've come all the way around at the end of round 4. I'm finishing off working my final cluster stitch. Chain 1, and I'm going to join with a slip stitch into the top of my first cluster. Chain 1, and once again turn your work. We're now going to work for round 5 a half double crochet into our first stitch, which was the first chain stitch, and then half double crochet into each stitch all the way around. You're working into each chain 1 stitch and the top of each cluster stitch all the way around. You will continue to have 72 stitches. If you want to go back and double check, you're just going to have 72 stitches. When you come to your first stitch, join with a slip stitch into the top. At the end of round 5, you'll have worked a total of 72 half double crochet stitches all the way around. Join with a slip stitch into the top of your first stitch. Now for rounds 5 through to 13, you're going to repeat rounds 2, 3, 4, and 5 twice more. So your round 2 began with the chain 1 and working in the 3rd loop all the way around, work half double crochet stitches. So that was your round 2. You're going to repeat rounds 2, 3, 4, and 5 twice more, 2 more times. That will bring you to the end of round 13. You're going to then repeat rounds 2, 3, and 4 once more. So that will bring you to the end of round 16. If you'd like to see this all written out, again, the free crochet pattern is on richtexturescrochet.com, and you'll find it linked directly in the description of this video. Once you've completed through to the end of round 16, you can meet me back here and we will work on closing the top of our hat. At the end of round 16, this is what your work is going to look like from the beginning. you're going to have 4 sections of texture and have finished off on a cluster stitch round. You'll have chained 1 and turned your work. We're now going to begin the decrease shaping in the top of our hat. So for round 17, after you've chained 1, you're going to work a half double crochet into each of the first 6 stitches. You're then going to work a half double crochet 2 together. To work the half double crochet 2 together, we're going to yarn over, insert our hook into the next stitch, yarn over, and draw up a loop. Now sometimes I like to yarn over again before I insert my hook into the next stitch. Today, however, I'm just going to insert my hook into the next stitch, then yarn over with 4 loops on my hook, yarn over, and pull through all 4 loops. That's how we're going to work our half double crochet 2 together. If you do it the other way, it's okay, you're just going to have a little bit of a thicker stitch. You're then going to work a half double crochet into each of the next 6 stitches. And then half double crochet 2 stitches together. Repeat this all the way around until you come back to your first stitch. At the end of round 17, join with a slip stitch into the top of your first stitch. You're going to have a total of 63 stitches. Chain 1, continue working in the same direction, so do not turn, and working in the 3rd loop all the way around, you're going to work a half double crochet into each of the first 5 stitches. You're then, once again in the 3rd loop, going to work a half double crochet 2 together. Work 1 half double crochet into each of the next 5 stitches. And half double crochet 2 stitches together. Repeat this all the way around. At the end of round 18, join with a slip stitch into the top of your first stitch, and you'll have a total of 54 stitches. For round 19, once again, chain 1, do not turn your work, and we're going to be working in the 3rd loop of our stitches, and you're going to single crochet in the 3rd loop of each of the first 4 stitches. You're then going to work a single crochet 2 together. To work your single crochet 2 together in the 3rd loops of each of the next 2 stitches, insert your hook, yarn over, draw up a loop, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, draw up a loop. With 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. That's your single crochet 2 together. Single crochet into each of the next 4 stitches. Then single crochet 2 stitches together. Repeat this all the way around. At the end of round 19, you're going to join with a slip stitch into the top of your first stitch. You'll have a total of 45 stitches, and this time we're going to chain 1 and then turn our work. For round 20, we're going to work 1 round of our cluster stitches, so cluster over the first 3 stitches, and then chain 1 and then cluster stitch beginning in the same stitch as your previous stitch. You're going to work your cluster stitches all the way around. Then just as you did before, join with a slip stitch into the top of your first cluster, chain 1, and turn. You're going to continue to have a total of 45 stitches. At the end of your round 20, we're going to finish off with a cluster stitch. So do not work that chain 1. Finish off with the cluster stitch and then join with the slip stitch into the top of your first cluster. You're then going to chain 1 and turn your work. You'll have 45 stitches. And now for round 21, we're going to work a half double crochet into each of the first 3 stitches. You're then going to work a half double crochet 2 together. Half double crochet into each of the next 3 stitches. And half double crochet 2 together. Repeat this all the way around and join with the slip stitch into the top of your first stitch. At the end of round 21, you're going to have a total of 36 stitches. Chain 1, do not turn your work. For round 22, working in the 3rd loop all the way around, you're going to work a half double crochet into each of the first 2 stitches. You're then going to half double crochet 2 stitches together, once again in that 3rd loop. Half double crochet into each of the next 2 stitches, and half double crochet into the 3rd loop. Repeat that all the way around. At the end of round 22, you'll have a total of 27 stitches. Join with a slip stitch in that first stitch, chain 1, continue working in the same direction, and continue working in the 3rd loop. You're going to work a half double crochet into that first stitch, then half double crochet 2 stitches together. Half double crochet into the next stitch, and half double crochet 2 stitches together. Repeat this all the way around. At the end of round 23, join with the slip stitch into the top of your first stitch. You'll have a total of 18 stitches. Chain 1, and for round 24, continue working in the same direction and continue working in that 3rd loop. And we're simply going to work a half double crochet 2 together in each stitch all the way around. You're going to have a total of 9 stitches, and when you come back to that first stitch, you're going to join with a slip stitch into the top. I'm just working my final stitch. Join with a slip stitch into the top, and at this time you can go ahead and fasten off, leaving a little bit of a long tail. Now what we're going to do is we're going to sew the top of our hat closed, and how I like to do that is just take the long tail that you left behind and thread it through your yarn needle. And then just at the top of your beanie, you're going to weave in and out through the tops of that final round of stitches, all the way around. When you come back to that first stitch, you're just going to pull it closed and then tuck in your end down into the middle. Now, if you are using a pom-pom with a button or something that you would like to attach, you can keep this long tail to use it to attach your pom-pom. Otherwise, you're just going to secure the end and then tuck it in. You can then go ahead and trim off any tails. Turn your beanie back right side out, and that's it. That's all there is to working this beautiful inlet beanie. So thank you so much for joining me. Once again, I invite you to subscribe. Take a look around. The matching accessory, the neck warmer, is still to come here on my channel if it's not up there already, and you'll find it in the Wonderful Hats Crochet Along playlist. So until next time, happy crocheting. Bye.